Hey there, I'm Pretty Urban Witch here. Coming to you with an incredible lack of sleep. Well, I don't know. I think I got a fair amount of sleep, but the closing crew that is the yesterday version of me actually seems to sort of be socking us up a little bit. But that's neither here nor there. I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the upcoming first quarter moon. Um, that's happening on Friday. What day is it, man? Um, it's happening Friday, May 29th. So that's roughly in about a week from now. Now, a lot of people already know about the full moons and the new moons, right? Everybody likes to get down with the rituals for new moon and full moon. New moon being the time that you want to kind of like make space and let go of things, make that kind of space so that you can invite what you need into your life. Um, so there's that sense of letting go. There's that sense of letting go of the things that don't serve you, right? And then all the way up to new moon. New moon is that sense of sort of celebrating everything that you've done for that particular cycle, right? New moon is also, it also comes with, it's seasonal themes. Like we're used to this. We're used to new moon. We're used to old moon. We're used to new moon. We're used to the full moon. I'm real sorry, you guys. I'm still trying to get some coffee on here this morning. It's a little rough, and I still haven't figured out the good lighting for my YouTube channel. We're some of you might know I'm actually working as a woofer on a permaculture site as well. So basically got about 3 different jobs that I got to get done. And sometimes it's just not enough hours in the day. But I don't want this to turn into a video talking about sleep and lack thereof. But I do have to get some of this more coffee in me as we're talking about this stuff. So the thing that even once I started really diving back into practice wasn't clear to me was that you can work with the energy of any phase of the moon, and that there are different energies to the phase of the moon. So when we're talking about first quarter, which is coming up, we're talking about this is a moon that's a time for action. And I'll be talking about the phases a little bit more as we go on. But in terms of action, in terms of starting something, in terms of starting a new project, in terms of getting everything fired up for this particular cycle that you're going to be looking at. Excuse me. This is what's coming up on Friday. So, it's easy enough to just say, hey, you got first quarter moon coming up, take some kind of action. The reason why this is important is because of the stuff we talked about in terms of the retrogrades, right? So we already know, and we're going to keep saying this over and over again because 2020 is the year where retrograde season probably matters more than it has in a very, very, very long time. So we started out with Pluto. Again, Pluto's retrograde, dealing with change. Then everything else kicked in a couple weeks later, right? So we have Saturn. Saturn's talking about the socio-political stuff. Jupiter wants us to address abundance. Again, abundance hangs in the balance. Then also we have Venus, right? And this is where it starts. This is where it starts becoming real applicable to where we are on the calendar and with these upcoming phases of the moon and with everything that's going on. Because again, Venus, now I'm hoping, I've already seen like a couple of breakups on social media for folks that I know They're real shooken up. They've been talking about how they just not now, not during this time. This the thing that I mentioned. If the breakups are going to happen, it's going to be rough, and we're going to have to just hammer through because we're not going to get an opportunity like this again for a very, very long time. But the other thing, again, the part that I really want you to pay attention to with the Venus retrograde is that it is now a time to really embrace your creative energies and really get that stuff out there and get that stuff moving. Any creators out there, if you've had this itch on the top of your mouth for years or decades or even months or weeks, if you've been feeling inspired to create something, don't look for some excuse to be like, oh, well, like maybe after this whole pandemic thing wears off, then maybe I can finally do this, or once I get enough money stacked up, then I can. No, figure out what you can do right now. Figure out what you can start doing right now, especially with this first quarter moon coming up. This first quarter moon is prompting us to take action. You're going to want to take action during this phase of the Venus retrograde. And again, Venus retrograde is talking about a renaissance of creativity, of creative energy. Saturn, again, Saturn hasn't been in this position for 140 years. Again, I think I talked about it on a previous video. Stuff that was happening back then was the cash register was invented, barbed wire was invented, Levi Strauss started patenting denim jeans, denim clothing. A lot of this, the first city to be lit with electrical lights was fired up 140 years ago. So a lot of this stuff that happened 140 years ago, last time Saturn, I'm jumping around here a little bit, I know we were talking about Venus, but the last time Saturn was in this position, a lot of stuff got locked into place that has affected us over 100 years later. So now is the time to carve some stuff into stone, or start carving some stuff into stone that's going to last a long time, that's going to last even beyond your own life, okay? So Venus wants us to take advantage of this. Right on the tails of Venus, we've talked about this, there's the Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades are always going to be a heavy time of healing. And again, the way that this all stacks up is that we've got Chiron and Neptune coming up with their retrogrades very soon. And again, all of this is very much about changing the karma, the old karma that you came into this life with. So think about how life has been so far. Think about any of the struggle that you've had. I'm sure there's been ups and downs. A lot of us have gone through some things where we've seen how beautiful life can be and also how hard life can be. But I am willing to bet that more often than not, it's been a lot of struggle. It's been a lot of like, why is it like this? Why is life so rough? This is a tale that we've told ourselves for generations on end, right? As we've come into this new life, as we come into these lives, we've also brought that old karma with us. Now we have a chance this year to rewrite the scripts on future karma, and the way the North and South nodes work when we're dealing with karma, South node being old karma, North node being new karma, the way to fix your old karma is to rewrite the scripts on new karma. That's the way it is every time. That's the way out. So we have to be doing everything differently. A very good practice that I've been putting into use is lately I'm just trying to do everything different, even daily stuff. If I wake up in the morning and put my pants on first, I'll put my shirt on first. This is a matter of getting your mind used to doing things differently. So to kind of bring it back around, when I'm talking about doing things differently, don't just wait to take action. I'm telling you a week in advance. Sure, maybe I could have hit you up and started talking to you about this 2 weeks ago, but I also didn't want you to forget about it and be like, oh, that's right, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. I forgot about that part. I'm telling you now so you can keep it fresh, throughout the week, so you can start building up towards it and realizing, okay, Friday is going to be the day that I'm really embracing action and embracing change and embracing the idea of doing things differently, bringing things into existence, bringing the whatever creative stuff that's trapped in the bone prison of your skull, bringing that stuff out and into the world and allowing it to exist. We talk about this in the tower. We're going to start with this already, huh? Every moment already exists in terms of timeline. Time isn't as linear as you thought. I hope this isn't where I lose like half the subscribers that I already have. But in terms of like quantum stuff, every moment already exists, and it's just a matter of us leaving one moment and then deciding which moment to enter next. And that's kind of how we navigate around. So there is a moment somewhere out there where anything that you're trying to create, anything that's in your mind that you're trying to bring out into the world and bring into existence, that moment already exists. That moment exists where you have brought that into existence. The thing is, all you have to do is play your part. Like you think about actors in a movie, on stage, on a show, anything like that. If that actor doesn't deliver that line, then that scene doesn't happen. And that's basically where we are with the things that we're trying to create. If you don't create that, then it's not going to get created. And I know this sounds like some stupid shit, like, yeah, well, of course. I mean, that's elementary. If you don't do a thing, then it doesn't get done. But I'm telling you, if you want to move into the life that you've always known should exist, you have to do things differently, and you have to take advantage of all of this energy with these planets that are moving through their retrogrades, they've set this beautiful workbench for us to work with. And if we don't pick up the tools, and if we don't use that workbench, if we don't build with that, then, as we said, you're not gonna build a thing. You understand? You have to play your part. This moment already exists. There also is a moment that exists where you took too long and somebody else built the thing that you were trying to build from your mind or bring into existence. All of these moments already exist. So depending on how you want this story to play out, you're going to have to play your part in terms of making this happen. So be ready for that. Be ready to take advantage of the energy of this first quarter moon. Be ready to take action. Start planning this week for what next week is going to look like, for how you're going to cross that threshold of moving through this first quarter moon, of taking action, of playing your part, playing your role in bringing whatever this is into existence. Because again, we're in the springtime now, right? We're in the springtime. We're moving into summer. We're crossing that threshold. This is basically, in terms of planting. I mean, both literally, and that's also the model for anything figurative that we're talking about. Now is the time to plant seeds that you can maintain through the summer so that you've got a good harvest in the fall. Now, when we're talking about the retrogrades, we're really talking about this harvest is going to be some feast or famine type shit. And I really want all of us to be on the feast side of things. So that means we have to plant those seeds in the springtime. We have to plant those seeds, and we have to maintain them throughout the summer, no matter how hard these retrogrades feel for us. And again, your key, your trick to getting through these retrogrades is a matter of, if it feels hard, if it feels blocked, if you feel like you're not going somewhere, then don't try to push through. Don't try to just hammer through using your ego or whatever plans that you had and say, well, I just gotta. Stop and look at where you're blocked. Look at where you're hurt. Look at where you're feeling upset and how you're responding in these more negative ways. And then say, okay, all right, since I can't get past this wall, there's a way around it. So let me figure out what that way is. And by that, I mean, if it hurts, if it sucks, if you're feeling negative about it, is there something there that you need to heal? Is there a different path? That's the path that you need to take. You need to take that path to healing. Even if you suddenly just get like knocked out of the box and you're upset, you don't feel like you can go on, don't just kick it and wallow in those feelings. Really try to find the root of that. Try to go as far back as you can and say, all right, is this some trauma that happened to me 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Is this some trauma that happened to me when I was 10 years old or 5 years old? Like, where is it? How far back does this go? Can I heal this thing? Can I go into the dark basement of where this trauma is screaming through my entire house and open the door and say, hey, you don't have to live here anymore. You can come out. See that door that I just came through? That light? Just go through there. It's okay. I see you. I validate you. I recognize you. And I can begin to live in such a way where this pain, this trauma doesn't have to affect me anymore. Again, I'm sorry I'm still working on this coffee. I did jump around on you a little bit here. During the summertime, we're going to be having these other retrogrades kick up, right? So Chiron is going to be retrograding, which means that Chiron wants us to heal. And wanting to heal means, like, to be honest, it means connecting with the job that you came here to do, the job that you agreed to do before you were born. You told the universe, listen, if you let me be born, I promise to do this job somewhere between birth and death. And Chiron is showing up. Chiron is the manager walkthrough, coming through and saying, all right, is everything in order? Are you doing your job? You promised to do your job. Are you doing it? If you are doing it, then things are going to look good. If you've planted those seeds now, then your harvest time is going to be looking good. And you've got to stay strong. You've got to maintain that. There are a lot of moving parts to this one, so that's why I'm going to be talking a lot more about all of the stuff that's happening, a lot more. And you may have to really just kind of absorb this, soak in. You may even have to do some of your own research in terms of like the retrogrades and all this stuff. I'm going to give you as much information as I possibly can. Again, this information is out there, but a lot of it isn't connected in terms of how it all fits in together. Like, you can search the internet and find a whole bunch of puzzle pieces, and like, that's fine. If you've got the time and you've got the mental agility to shuffle these pieces around and put them together until you go, oh, that's how that fits. That's fine. But what I'm really trying to do is show you, hey, look for these shapes, fit these things together, because this is how this stuff fits together. Now you can do whatever you want with your own puzzle pieces. So Neptune happens in the summertime as well, and Neptune wants us to let go of any illusions that have been holding us back. So now you see where I'm talking about with taking action during this full moon before Mercury retrograde starts, while we're still in that creative energy of Venus retrograde, so that when Neptune comes around, we can have those aha moments. We can have those breakthrough moments where we're like, oh, Shit, that's right. This is what's been holding me back from bringing whatever I'm trying to bring into the world. That's what's been holding me back from bringing this into the world. We do that, and Chiron's going to do its managerial walkthrough and say, hey, looks like you are doing your job. Great. Keep these seedlings watered and maintained and healthy through the summertime, because when fall hits, fall's going to be some shit. We get 3 Mercury retrogrades a year. We already had the first one and transition from winter into spring. We're about to have the second one right now. The third one happens, I got to check the dates. We're looking at about like October, November-ish is when the third Mercury retrograde happens. And that one is going to happen during Mars. And Mars will be retrograding through Aries. And what that means is that everything astrological that could possibly be happening is just going to get amped up, right? We're running that through an amp, and we're cranking that thing up to 11. So if you've planted good seeds and you've maintained and you've done your metaphysical work, if you've done your work of healing, if you've done your work of healing your old karma and rewriting the scripts on new karma, then that harvest is going to be intense. But if you lazed about and you fucked around and you waited for somebody else to deliver some kind of solution for you, or you hem-hawed and you waited for some other, the right time to create the solution for yourself, then you've fucked your crops off for, I'm sorry, this is, I'm not saying this is going to be like this every year. This year, it is actually really important that this kind of gets followed. It's either going to be a feast or famine thing. If you didn't plant good crops now, and if you didn't maintain those crops through the summertime, then when that Mars retrograde through Aries happens and everything gets intense, then all of the bad shit, all of the rough parts are going to be intense. And if you don't have a good harvest, then that means this fall it's not going to be a great harvest at all. It's going to be a famine harvest. And you don't want that. You don't want that, right? Like, nobody wants that. So what we got to do, it's a crazy kind of dance that we got. Because, the way everything's lined up more recently is like hit or miss. Mercury retrograde pops up, and that's the one that everybody's aware of. People like, oh my God, I got like 9 texts from like my exes. What's going on? It must be Mercury retrograde. Why does nothing work? My car don't work. That's the one that everybody notices. And then we could kind of like back away from that. We could kind of move in these sort of waves, and we can kind of be ready for it. But because of the 2020 retrograde season, the music starts, and we're going to have to keep dancing, and we got to keep dancing, and we got to keep up with any changes in the music this entire time, basically until 2021, at least until 2021. I've already started taking a look at some of the 2021 stuff. There's a lot of stuff there that, again, the information is out there, but I'm puzzle piecing this stuff together for you so that you understand kind of how this stuff works. See, that's that lack of coffee. Suddenly So be ready this week to take action on Friday. Build yourself up to it. Start making plans. Start figuring out what you need to do. Even if you don't have a lot of time, if you've got like a little break here and there, if you're first waking up in the morning and deciding to fuck with social media or whatever, change that up. Do a little something different. Do a little bit of research on what it is that you're trying to do, your best practices, your worst practices, what to avoid, what to do. Chip away at it. Do it on your break. Do it right before you crash out. Do it whenever you have like a little bit of downtime and you can afford to kind of like take that on. But be ready to take advantage of that starting feeling of taking action, of moving through this first quarter moon. God, I hope this stuff makes sense. Again, there's this whole lack of coffee thing that I'm talking about, but part of it is that the reason why I'm just hopping on here and getting it done is because we actually have to do some hauling of some cuttings, and we got to take this to the local compost and do some stuff here. So I haven't had a chance to wake up the way that I properly did, and I also didn't want to lag too long. I wanted to get this information out to you guys as quickly as possible. So I hope that this has been useful, and I promise that the content is going to get better, and I promise the lighting is going to get better. Like, I've been doing my own research, and it's like I know what I'm supposed to do for all this, but we'll figure that part out. So look forward to more caffeinated content. And don't forget, please, if this is useful at all, if you're interested in seeing how this develops both just aesthetically and in terms of content and in terms of the stuff that I'm talking about, please like and subscribe. Also, there's a Patreon link in my bio where I do metaphysical weather reports. I go into that a little bit later. But I'm running a little short on time here with you guys. I've already talked you guys up and like meandered around with my coffee cup and shit. So that's what I got for you for today. I'm going to be releasing some more stuff very soon. In the meantime, stay safe, be blessed. I can't find the button. Can't find it.